This video is a request from a follower of the channel who was asking about hints and tips for less experienced walkers. Now, I had to have a bit of a think about what hints and tips I could focus on, and in the end I've decided to narrow it down and talk about how I plan a walk. Now, this is something I touched on in the Q&A video, but I'm going to explore and go into more detail in this video. If you do a lot of walking in Tasmania, this is probably of no interest to you, but if you haven't done as much, then you might find it useful perhaps. I'm on my laptop right now and I'll show you how I go through it. So the first thing I do is search it on Google pretty much. So before the parks were closed, I had an idea of visiting Mount Dukes on the west coast because I wanted to take my new car on a long drive. So that's what I'll Google, Mount Dukes, Tasmania. You're not going to get, some sites are going to be pretty useless, but this stuff down here, the blogs, this has some really useful information. Rock Monkey Adventures is a really good blog. Lots of different walks on here and really useful information and an enjoyable read as well, which is always useful. Sometimes I'll have a GPS map so you can see like that kind of direction you want to go. And as you can see, there's many different blogs. So reading them is really useful. And then if you do that, you can have a little hunt around. Some walks are going to have more blogs than others, obviously. And then after that, I might go to bushwalk.com. So you might go Mount Dukes bushwalk.com. It's quicker to do it this way. And then look at that. You can see I visited that one on the 20th of March. This one a bit more recently. And then you go in here and you can just read through what people have said through their own experiences. This one's a few years old, you can see 2007, but a lot of them, it's still useful, just as useful information. If you're kind of stumped for where to go on a walk, you can also use List Map, which is what I'll talk about later. Once you've kind of got an idea of the information on a walk, I'll go check the weather forecast, because the weather forecast determines a lot of things. If you're going to have cruddy weather, you're better off not going. So we'll go to Tasmania. And we'll hypothetically say we're going to do this walk on the weekend, so tomorrow. You go to 7-day town forecasts, and then you go to Queenstown, so that's the closest town. So, it doesn't look great, 80% chance of rain, but on close inspection, showers easing, most likely in the early morning. So maybe that means it's going to clear up during the day, and only 50% chance of rain on Sunday. So that could be good. What we'll do now is go to Met-Eye for a little bit more detail. And obviously you want to focus in on Tasmania. And choose your parameters across here. So wind, speed and direction might be useful, but I'm more interested in the rainfall forecasts. And this eventually loads. Queenstown's here, Macquarie Harbour. We'll go to Saturday. About 10 AM, that's probably when I get there at the earliest. And look at that. There's not a very high chance of rain at all during the day. Go to Sunday, and again it's the same. So it's promising signs, isn't it? Now the other website that I use for weather is mountainforecasts.com. So mountain forecast, Mount Dukes in Tasmania, yep. A lot of different mountains are on mountainforecast.com, but not all of them. You just have to use this map, look around for the closest mountain to where you are. And then down here, you can expand on Saturday. Gives you what the weather will be like every 3 hours. So that's actually pretty good, no rain until 10 PM at night, according to them. Winds are fairly strong, not too bad, I guess. And then you've got things like freezing level, chill, temperature, stuff like that. So that's a useful website as well for weather. And now on to the third part of searching for me, which is List Map. So you can just search on Google or have maps.thelist.tas.gov.au, and it's a map. It's an interactive map, and it's one of my favourite websites. So we'll just scroll down to Mount Dukes. You can also search using the bar up here, but I know where Mount Dukes is, so we'll go to here. What you want to do, or what I do, this stuff's more useful for off-track walks. We can go to base map, and we can change the base map here. Have a look at Tas Map, so that can sometimes see how it's got the different colours. Might talk about scrub, things like that. Could be useful. Or you could go to state aerial photo. Not very good quality here, but in places around the overland track especially, you do get some high quality aerial imagery, and you can look at terrain through there. Topographics, the default. Then what I do is go to layers, add layer. scroll down to Plants and Animals Communities TasVeg 3.0, and then bam, you've got a lot of information here. If you just change the transparency, you can see through to the map. So Mount Duke's summit is here, and the walking is through there, if you recall from that map on the blog. Then you can just look on the different layers and get the info. So that would be a scrub heathland. Further up here where these kind of Zs are, highland and treeless vegetation, so that might be a bit more open. I know Mount Duke's has got some open walking from reading those blogs. Other natural environments and that might be just bare rock, perhaps, or grasses. So that gives you an idea of terrain. And list maps are useful. You can look at other things like where threatened species have been found, what reserve you're in if you're on forestry land. But I'm not going to go into that because it's not really useful. It's just stuff I like to know. If you're stumped for a walk, or if you end up getting really bad weather, you can use list map to look around for alternatives. So you can just scroll through the map. I know Montezuma Falls is up here, and then you've obviously got the tracks marked on here. Obviously Mount Duke's is down here. If you scroll further down to this area, you've got the Bird River Walk, Kelly Basin track. So that's stuff you can find using a list map if you just hunt around. And that's about it really. I mean, the three key things which I look for are walking conditions, weather, and duration. And then obviously stuff like driving times is useful, obtained on Google Maps. And then there's obviously other various bits of information you can find here on list map. That's how I plan a walk. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.